waterfall model? Okay, let me show you this document now. See, requirement gathering, software design, implementation, verification. Verification nothing but testing and maintenance, right? So pros and cons, clear goals and directions, advantages, okay? And progress can be easily measured, okay? Saves time and money, okay? Cons, time consuming, okay? Customer sometimes because he don't see the software until it goes to the production or it comes to the testing phase. That time he can say, hey, why you develop like this, right? Because developer developed based on his understanding, right? Maybe developer is he is ready to move out, he can develop anything, right? Right? Risk factor. Okay, these are the pros and cons of the waterfall. So waterfall model implemented total duration 10 months. You see January to October. You see requirement analysis. January it started, mid of Feb, right? So then design. Let me June. Then the design starts February 15 to April 15. Once this phase is done, then only you will go to the next phase project. Then it will go to this is the roadmap of the project schedule. Understand? Then April 15th to August 15th, coding. Right? Coding will take more time, right? Then the testing, then it goes to the UAT and production. So 15 per normally there is a formula in the market. 15% of the time will go for the planning. So if you take this example, 10 months, 15% means 1.5 months. So 1.5 month will go for this requirement analysis. And 20% of the time will go for the design, 2 months, right? And 40% of the time will go for the development and unit test, 4 months. So how many months done? 2, 3.5, 4. Okay, 7.5 months done. Then 20% of the time will go for the testing, 2 months, 9.5 months. Then 15 days for the UAT and production. Yes. You understand now? This is the formula in the market. Okay, most of the time, 40% of the time will go for the development, unit testing. You understand? This is how it will be distributed, waterfall model. One phase after one phase. Any questions about waterfall? We are done with the waterfall model. Any questions? Is it clear? Okay, but nowadays nobody using the waterfall. 99% of the companies using the Agile methodology. Okay, now you will understand why Agile is important. Okay, same example if you take. Okay, same example if you take. I will show you. Yeah. Same example. They will split into multiple releases. Let's say they will split the entire requirement into some user stories. User story is what is user story? Tell me. User story is nothing but a small requirement. Let's say same example if you take Access Mutual Fund. Okay, there is a login functionality. Okay, login via PAN number. Okay, this can be one user story. Let's say user story number 001. Then login via email. This can be, this functionality is different. This is another user story they split. Understand? Then let's say logout functionality. This is another user story. Like this, they will divide the entire requirement into small user stories. Now they will plan the releases. Like there are different models in the Agile methodology. Like most famous one is the Scrum model. Okay, I will explain you first what is Scrum model. Okay, this is the most famous one in the market now. Okay, you will go by the sprints, like sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, like that. So sprint, what is sprint? Sprint is a time box. Okay, it can be 2 weeks, it depends upon the company. For me, it's 3 weeks. For me, it's 3 weeks. Right now, I am in the sprint 60. I am in the second week. Today, second week done. This sprint ends on November 4th. My sprint started 17th, October 17th. So it ends on 4th. Now 5th and 6th holiday, right? Then my sprint 61 will start on November 7th. Okay, at Microsoft we follow 3-week sprint. Understand? But other companies they follow 2-week sprint. Some companies follow 1-week sprint also. They take only 2 user stories, but we take 10 or 20 user stories. Okay, understand? So sprint is nothing but a time box. In interview question, they will ask you, okay, hey, can you tell me what is your sprint duration? Okay, why they will ask? If you say you have experience in Agile, if you are a fake person, you don't answer that question. They will check. So what is your sprint duration? You should know your sprint duration. It might be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You can say, right? Understand? So same user story, same requirement, same 100 pages website, they are dividing into the, let's say, 100 user stories. Small requirements. Clear? Now every sprint, let's say we have 10 sprints. Okay, sprint 2, like that we have 10 sprints or 20 sprints, you can, it's up to you. Okay, so they are taking like 10 user stories each sprint. Now again internally they are following the waterfall. Internally for this 10 user stories, what they do? They do the analysis, design, development and testing. Understand? But in this release, only 10 user stories will go. They will prioritize which user story will go first. Because if we take that website, login is most important. Right? First. Oh, okay. Tejashwini from Kampa. Okay. So, which user story? Who will prioritize? There are different roles in the Agile. I will explain you. Product owner will be there, and Scrum Master will be there. That slowly we will learn. First, let me explain you high level. Okay. So they will prioritize based on the priority. We will see which user stories can fit in this sprint. Okay. Then in this example, 10 user stories. Like that, we will complete the project. Understand? Let's say there are 100 user stories. The backlog we call product backlog. Backlog means which are not developed. Okay. Product backlog, we have 100 user stories. We are taking 10 user stories in sprint 1. We are done with that. Now when we come to the sprint 2, how many user stories will be there in the product backlog? 90. Because we are done with 10. 90. Now let's say here you are taking 20 user stories. This sprint. Now how many it will be there in the sprint 3? How many left in sprint 3? 70 user stories, right? Here you can take 10 user stories. You understand? Product backlog is different. Okay? And sprint backlog is different. This is sprint backlog here. 10 user stories, you are done with 8. And 2 you are not done. 2 are in the backlog, sprint backlog. Product backlog, 90 will be there in the first sprint. Understand? So, like that, we will go to production multiple times. So, here lot of communication will happen. Customer will be involved everywhere. Until the last minute, the user story requirement can change. Changes are acceptable here. And you are not in one particular phase. One user story you are doing the analysis, other user story the developer completed very fast. He asks you to test it. You have to test that one. So you are in testing phase. Another user story you are in analysis phase. Understand? Like that. It's a continuous work. Clear? What is the difference between waterfall and agile? Waterfall, one phase, then after one phase you will go. But here it's a parallel one, continuous process. And lot of communication will happen within the team. It's a small team, like 3 to 9 members mostly. Everybody will sit at one place in the office. And there are different meetings will be there. We call it ceremonies, agile ceremonies. Agile ceremonies. Okay. This is another entry question. Okay, if you are real candidate or fake candidate, this question will decide. This is the first question I ask in the interview. Can you tell me what are all the agile ceremonies you have followed in your project? That is the interview question. So, first one is story point meeting. We will assign the stories to the user points to the user stories. Then sprint planning meeting. Okay, this in detail I will explain you next session. Okay, sprint planning meeting. Then we will have, once the sprint start, daily stand-up meeting. Okay, then once the sprint is done, almost, sprint review meeting. It's nothing but demo we will have. Then sprint retrospective meeting. It should happen in the same order. Sprint retrospective will happen after the sprint is done. Sprint story pointing will happen before the sprint starts. These two meetings will happen before the sprint starts. This meeting will happen every day when the sprint starts. You are in the sprint, daily stand up. You have to give the status every day. This meeting will happen same time, same location every day. For me, every day 9:40. But I have 4 stand-ups because I am working on different modules. 4 stand-ups. 9:20, 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock, like that. Okay. Sprint review. Now we are having the demo on November 2nd. The previous sprint. Okay. Understand? In that meeting, customer also will be there. Okay. Sprint retrospective meeting will happen after the sprint is done for the previous sprint. So what went well, what went wrong, where we need to improve, all those things we will discuss here. Is it clear? As I so, but waterfall we don't have all these meetings. There will be weekly meeting, monthly meeting, 15 days meeting, just on status call. Okay. But as I, lot of communication will happen every day. We know everybody what they are working. You will create a user stories. Under the user stories, you will create a task. So what kind of task? This is the another interview question I will ask. What kind of task you will create as a tester? Let's say there are 3 user stories assigned to you in this sprint. You are working in sprint 1. So what kind of task you will create for your user story? First one is user story analysis. Nothing but, in simple words, you are understanding the requirement. You are going through the requirement, understanding the requirement. That is, in technical terms, you will use user story analysis. That is the first task. Second task, once you understand what you will do, you will prepare test cases. Test cases preparation. Okay. Right now you don't know what is test case. I will explain you in future sessions. Okay. Third one, test case execution. Fourth one, test case automation. If you are automation tester, otherwise you won't do this task. Okay, manual tester, you will have only these 3 tasks. For automation tester, you will have the 4th task also. Clear? It should happen in the same order. You cannot execute the test cases without you understand the requirement and without preparing the test cases. Right? Here? Got it? So now, what is the advantage of using this methodology? Previously, we discussed about drawbacks of waterfall model, right? Here also you can find the critical bug, right? Let's say you are in sprint 2. Sprint 1, already these 10 user stories went to production. Already customers they are using, end users. Now customers are expecting these 20 user stories. In one of the user story, you found a critical bug. Then what will happen? Immediately they will fix it, or they will move the release to the 1 day later or 2 days later. Once the bug is fixed, immediately we will test that user story. Then they will deploy. Understand? Or if it goes to the production, then the end user find that bug, it is badly affecting, then you can roll back. Only this particular user story code, or only this particular sprint, whatever they deployed into the production. Only that particular build they can roll back. Then customer will see the working version of the software, which is already there in the production sprint 1. He don't need to wait for 1 year. Every 2 weeks, 2 weeks sprint, every 2 weeks, he sees some functionality reaching to the production. He knows that there is a bug here. Okay, some customers are affecting. They can fix it, or immediately we can roll back the code. Now, customer will see the existing functionality, this old functionality. Clear? Like that, we will take the user stories from the product backlog and keep going. So this project is going from 5 years like that, whatever the project I am working. So let's say you have only 100 user stories. In sprint 10, last 10 user stories you develop. Then what will happen? That means the project, how much will be there in the product backlog? 0. That means the project is over. Understand? Project is over, it goes to the purely maintenance phase. Okay? Then they will remove the development team, they will maintain with only customer support team. Anytime when the bugs are there, they will have 1 or 2 developers. They don't need to waste the budget. Understand? You understand the Agile? So now look into our training material. See here, first iteration in January month, they are taking monthly sprint. Okay? What they are doing in this sprint? Requirement, analysis, design, development, everything, testing. UAT, then going to the production. Then this iteration 1 is done. It's an iterative model. They call iteration 1 or sprint 1. This sprint 1 is done. Now we are going to the sprint 2. Again, we are taking some user stories. Feb month. We are doing the same thing. Exactly same thing, whatever we did for the previous sprint. Clear? Now sprint is done. Again, we do the same thing in the sprint. Like that, sprint wise we go to the production. Understand? So then let's see. First of all, what is Agile? If somebody asks you, okay, this is the image, that's why. Okay, what is Agile? Agile is time-boxed, iterative approach to software delivery that builds software incrementally from the start of the project instead of trying to deliver all at once near to the end. All at once, where in which model we will do? Waterfall model, right? So here incrementally it will go. Instead of all at once, they go one by one. This is the image they are showing, right? So iteration 1, let's say for example, they are talking about some tourist application. Okay, example. Okay, in sprint 1, they are developing add user, print itinerary, these 2 functionalities. Sprint 2, they are doing the cancel trip. Okay, sprint 1 3 days, right? Sprint 2 cancel trip, book permit, update permit. This functionality they are implementing. Sprint 3 create device, add swap rate, like that. Like that it will go, keep going sprints. Understand? How Agile is different? How Agile is different? This is waterfall model, traditional model, waterfall model. First we are done with analysis, then it's very clear. We are done with analysis, then only we go to the design. We are done with design, we go to the coding. We are done with coding, we go here, testing. Okay? On off activities. We are on analysis, we are off from the analysis, then we go to the design, right? But here you see, it's a continuous activities. Okay? In the Agile. For one user story, you are doing the analysis. For other user story, you are doing the testing. You are writing the test cases or design or coding. Something is happening. Here, so developers also say for one user story, he is understanding, analysis. For other user story, he is developing. It's a continuous action. He is in 2 different phases. Right? It's a continuous activities. Okay? You are never done analysis, design, coding and testing on an Agile project. So long as there are features to build and the means to deliver them, these activities continue for the duration of the project. At a time, you won't do everything. At a time means, you are never done one by one, basically, analysis and that. But traditional model, we do one by one, okay? But you see, development is iterative. First sprint, let's say our output should be this one, developing the picture. First sprint, they are developing this small piece of the code. Second sprint, it's little bit matured. Third sprint, you see, final product you are getting. Development is iterative. First iteration, second iteration, third iteration. Like that, the project will complete. Okay? The scope can vary. So there is no fixed scope. Scope means limitation, right? In waterfall, we have limitation. Limitation for the requirement is locked, and budget is locked, and duration is locked, right? Okay. But here, the scope can vary, the time can vary, budget can vary, quality can vary. Okay, understand? These are all the different scopes. It can change. Customer is okay with that. Okay, customer is okay with that. Okay, requirements can change. Okay, traditional model changes are resisted. Okay, but Agile changes are welcome. If the requirement is changing, cost can change, right? Time and cost, duration and cost can change. They are okay with that. Okay, understand? So, what is the success of the project? Tell me. What is the success? How do we measure the success of the project? Okay. Working version of the software is the primary measure of the success. Let's say there are two projects. Okay, one project, both are 6 months. Okay, one project completed within 6 months and within $1 million. The budget is $1 million and there are no bugs. It's working fine, everything. Other project also completed in 6 months in same budget, but there are 20 bugs in the production. Which one is success? First one. So what is the measurement there? Working software is the primary measure of the success. So every 2 weeks, we are pushing something, working software, to the production in the Agile. But waterfall, that is not happening. Only once we go to the production. This will be, it will take one entire session, but I can explain maybe the Agile service. Meetings is nothing but meetings. But every user story, there will be points. Okay, what is user story? Tell me now. What is user story? Small requirement, not task. It's a requirement. It's a small requirement. So for that requirement, okay, again, we need to give the points. Okay. So there are different approaches we can follow. Some people use the Agile cards. Some people use the playing cards in the office, right? The playing cards, we have numbers, right? 1, 2, right? All the numbers will be there, right? So today I attended one meeting for 3 user stories. We did the estimates. We give the story points. So let's say we have 6 people in the team. Everybody, first we don't tell the number, how many story points we are giving. Okay, I will call you. Okay. So based on the changes we need to make, based on the functionality, based on the complexity, we give the story points. Say there is a user story, okay, that is talking about okay, there are 2 buttons here, new investor and login. Okay, right now this what is this color? Maroon color, you call it red. Okay, this color is there. Now change the color to green color. That's all the requirement. Okay, so for that, how many story points we can give? It's a small change. It's a small change, right? For small, we can give 1 story point or 2 story point. Small. So there is a medium size. Let's say there is a login function. And right now we have 2 options. Now add one more. They can log in using the Aadhaar. Okay? They can log in using the Aadhaar card. Okay? We can give medium. Right? Let's say some big functionality is there. Okay? Then 8 story points. Like that, we differentiate the user stories. Why? This is the estimation. Based on that, we will estimate the hours. Normally, in every company, there will be some standard. In my company, where I am working, each story point means 3 hours of work. Okay? Each story point means 3 hours of work. So daily, I need to complete 3 user stories, 3 story points of user story testing. Understand? 3 story point means how many hours? 9 hours. Understand? So But you understand? So there is a meeting called story point meeting or user story grooming meeting. User story grooming meeting means we go through the user story, everybody, we understand the requirement, we discuss about the requirement, then the scrum master, he is a role, he is a person, he asks, hey, how many story points we can give to this particular user story. Okay, some people will give 2 based on his understanding. Some people will say he thinks like there are a lot of changes, he can give 8. Some people will give 5. So we will take the average. Scrum master can ask, hey, why do you think it's a, let's say it's just a color change, somebody give 8. Hey, why do you think it's a 8 story point? Then they can reduce. Then after they reduce, then they will take the average. Understand? Got it? That is story point meeting. So each story point, once you join the team, they will tell you. It will be 3 hours per meeting. Understand? Right? So total effort of the user story, developer will give the development hours. Again, that user story, we will create the task. Developer will create the developer task. Normally, some companies, the QA lead or QA manager will create the task for you. Some companies, they will ask you to create task for the user story. So what kind of task you will create? Tell me. Some user story is assigned to you for testing. What kind of task you will create it? We already discussed. 4 tasks I mentioned. What is the first task you will do? Some user story is assigned to you. You are a tester. What is the first thing you will do? You will understand the requirement. Try to understand. That is analysis. User story analysis. Then second one, test case preparation. Third one, test case execution. Fourth one, test case automation. Okay? You need to remember in the same order. In interview point of view, anyone asks, hey, you are a tester, you are following the Agile Methodology, you got 3 user stories, what you will do? I will create a task in this order. For every user story, you need to create same task. You are doing the same thing, right? For every user story. Clear? Story pointing meeting is clear. How we will use, there is a Fibonacci series, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, but normally we don't use 13. 8 is the last. If anything more than 8, we will split that user story in 2 user stories. Because it will go, it's a large user story, 8 means. Okay? The developer can take 2 weeks or 2 days or whatever, 3 days. Normally in Agile, we will make sure it won't go beyond 8. If it is going beyond 8, then we will split into 2 user stories. Clear? Online guys, any questions about story pointing meeting? Clear? Vijayasri, Lakshmi, everyone?
Yes.
Prasanna is not joined?
I think he has network.
Okay. Got any questions?
Bhaiya, actually, nowadays, most of the companies are following Agile, right? Like
Yes,
DevOps,
yes.
they are implementing DevOps.
Yes.
So they are
Exactly.
running pipelines, etc.
Yeah.
So how the systems go work now? So you're talking about the previous legacy model you're talking about.
Previously, see, there are no pipelines, right? Deployments. Manually,
Yeah.
we used to do. Manually, we copy all the files and deploy into the other server.
Mhm.
Okay, now when in 2008, I was working for Nationwide Insurance in Baltimore. So
Okay.
that was a VB application, claims processing application. We have branches, right? Master branch, integration branch,
Yes.
and that time we used to maintain the branches. Development
Yeah.
branch, integration branch, UAT branch, and production branch.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if all the bugs are done in the integration testing, we will copy all those files and paste it into the another branch.
Okay.
And then like that, now we will do the system testing. We pasted into system testing branch. Now
Okay.
we will test the application into system testing environment. Now if there are any bugs, 1 or 2, we will fix those. After that, again we will copy paste those files into the UAT.
Okay.
Manually.
UAT server. Okay.
We have dedicated person for that. Dave Alexander. He is a pilot.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Dave Alexander. Okay, he used to do that. That time DevOps was not there. So now
Mhm.
what we do? So once we are done, same branch, using the pipeline, DevOps people, they can push the code into the another environment.
Yes.
Basically, I cannot, okay, I will share, but I cannot record because one second, let me stop
Yeah.
recording.
Okay.
Because security reasons.